Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the 2020 Tree of Life Gala benefiting the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center.
We're so glad you all could join us tonight, and just like the butterflies on our invitation, this event had to metamorphosize.
We're so grateful for your support thus far. Not knowing how this would all go, we are overwhelmed and humbled by your generosity.
We have some wonderful items available in the auction. We hope you will log on and bid early and often, and we'd like to thank you again for your support of this wonderful event.
Wow, what a year it's been. 2020 has been a roller coaster of challenges and triumphs that has left many of us feeling more isolated at times and yet more connected than ever. This year, NFCC saw major milestones, including the creation of the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center Foundation and another record-breaking month of clients served this summer. Affordable mental health counseling is even more important now than ever before.
Thank God the Counseling Center was a strong organization before the pandemic rocked our world. While we've all been tested this year, NFCC has passed that test with flying colors. And knowing that Nick is a part of something that is bringing comfort and stability to so many people during this vulnerable time feels so good. We are excited for you to see how the team at the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center was able to make mental health care even more accessible in the midst of a global shutdown.
Houston is a resilient city and will emerge from this pandemic even stronger, just like we did after Hurricane Harvey.
And we cannot thank you enough for your continued support for the NFCC. Let's take a look at what's going on now.
I've noticed, and I've heard a few people comment on, was at least in Harvey, even though it was everyone you knew in Houston was dealing with it, you could still call a friend who lived in another state and have a conversation about something not related to that, which was kind of a nice brain vacation. Whereas with this, everyone on the planet is experiencing it in some way. And then I'd also say with the pandemic piece, in hurricanes, one thing, I've lived in Houston for, 25 years. Like one thing with hurricanes not that I like hurricanes, but you always have that really strong community bond afterwards. Like power goes out, neighbors are pulling out all their frozen meats and like grilling, or you're coming together, you're like teaming up to go like demo houses and help people out and all this other stuff. And even though those are really difficult and stressful circumstances, there's something that's really healing and empowering and psychologically beneficial from that coming together and being able to physically do something. And I'd say that's actually one of the most challenging things about the pandemic is that very specific thing of coming together and being able to physically do a thing that makes a visible difference isn't an option, right? Because one, there's not a lot of things we can do that like very physically make a difference. One of the only things that we can do is the very opposite of coming together, right? It's like staying apart. And so doing that for such a sustained period of time it's kind of like having a slow drip tap, just draining, some psychological energy in the background, for a sustained period of time. And so it's just a lot. And it's been a challenge for sure.
I think what coronavirus has taught us is a whole lot of flexibility. We have had so many changes happen in the last few months that as an organization, we have had to adapt quickly. And I think what the future looks like is still unknown, but I do know that we're going to have to be flexible and we will remain focused on our clients. And so if that means we offer a HIPAA protected telehealth option for years to come, because our community as a whole is not comfortable gathering in spaces together again, then that's what we're going to do, because we want to continue to just focus our efforts on providing the best affordable and accessible care that we possibly can to the community.
There was already a presence of telehealth in the mental health field already, but it's never been used at the level that it's been used at this year. It's been a really, really impactful and important tool. It's enabled us to continue to see clients, continue to provide services. Some clients actually like it better than in person, which is really interesting. And it's been a big shift, even to the point that like insurance companies have approved telehealth services across the board for most of this whole year, whereas previously they were spotty with whether they would cover it or not. So it's been a lot of big shifts, but in my opinion, in a lot of positive ways, because it's allowed that mental health piece to be so much more accessible to so many more people in the midst of unprecedented levels of change and limiting of options of going in person to places and that sort of thing, but also in a situation that is incredibly psychologically challenging to be in. So it's been a really, really important and useful thing to be able to continue to support people, even in the midst of something as crazy as this whole pandemic year.
So my name is Todd Greenwald, and currently I serve as the chair of the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center Foundation.
So why do you think it was important for the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center to officially create its own foundation?
It's difficult for me, after such a long time being a lawyer, to think of things other than through a lawyer's eyes or a lawyer's brain. But to me, it's pretty simple. The foundation offers another giving platform for donors. And in particular, it offers a platform for donors who may be concerned or otherwise hesitant to make gifts directly to a church, St. Luke's in this case. And it may be in the case of some donors that are also charitable organizations, they may simply have policy conditions that they need to fulfill, and it's not unusual for some of those policy conditions to be a prohibition or severe limits on direct gifts to churches or other religious organizations. And so establishing the foundation to be an alternate giving platform, if you will, that supports the counseling center, to me just made sense.
As a nonprofit, we rely on our donors' support, and even though we've had to cancel events, they have continued to support us from afar, and we're so thankful for that.
We've seen during the pandemic a number of organizations that have been nimble and have adjusted quickly. The counseling center is clearly one of those. I mean, the ability to continue to serve existing clients, but also to make our services available to new clients. And considering the conditions, the fact that there may be new clients comes as no surprise to anyone. But the other information that we've been able to make generally available for free, the websites and things that people can go and download or view on our website, on the counseling center's website, I think are an extremely important resource, especially during these times. And again, it just stresses the importance of mental health care and the need for accessible mental health care.
So last year and early this year, there had been a lot of conversations among Mary Elizabeth and myself and our board around ways that we can actually make mental health accessible to the community. And that includes not only counseling, but also training and education and information. And so one of the ways that we did that was by coming up with a plan to offer a mental health toolkit. We shifted the content to be a little more pandemic specific, of like if you're isolated in your house or you're overwhelmed with big changes or different things like that.
Over the last year, our social media engagement has grown tremendously. And since the coronavirus, we have created a resource page on our website that has free outreach talks and videos and articles so that we can offer education in a way that's really easily accessible for the community. What do you think, just in your professional role, why do you think that an organization like NFCC is going to be so imperative to have around as the city continues to survive this coronavirus pandemic?
For a lot of people, the Nick Finnegan Counseling Center is really, only may not be the accurate word, but it's clearly the best alternative to accessing high quality mental health services. I mean, the services that the counseling center provides are on par with the kinds of mental health care counseling services available at high-priced practices. And a lot of people can't afford high-priced practices or are covered by insurance with limitations on either the aggregate or the number of visits or other financial constraints that make it important for them to have the ability to go to some place like the counseling center where services are affordable. And the fact of the matter is that other than the counseling center, there are few, if any, affordable options for truly high quality mental health care services.
Mental health is going to be a huge piece of the puzzle as we continue to survive this virus and once the city begins the recovery process. But it's not going to just be our community, it's going to be global. We are going to feel the effects of this virus on our emotional and mental health for years to come. And I really hope that the Counseling Center will be able to continue to be a pillar of strength for our community to rely on.
This year's Angels Among Us Award goes out to our practicum students. NFCC has offered a practicum program since the beginning of 2016, and since then we have trained over 15 graduate students from more than 6 different universities. In this program, practicum students receive training that they need to complete the graduate requirements to become counselors, but they also offer pro bono services to the Houston community. These students see clients at NFCC. They also work with clients at a local HISD middle school and at several programs within the Salvation Army organization, one of which serves homeless families and the other one serves homeless young adults. In this, they're able to provide mental health services that make a difference in the community while also making it affordable and accessible for some of our most vulnerable populations. We're so grateful to them and the work that they do and the energy that they bring to all the clients and the training and the staff at NFCC. So we want to offer this award to them to recognize them for their services over the years. And now to accept this award, I'd like to introduce one of our most recent practicum students, Ashley Barrera.
Thank you, Audrey. On behalf of all practicum students, I want to thank NFCC for this special honor. Practicum students have a foundational role in this field by which they are providing supervised counseling for free. These individuals encompass extraordinary strength by challenging themselves and learning new counseling techniques and adapting to unexpected situations, like most recently, the switch to virtual counseling. Throughout my own practicum experience, NFCC provided unprecedented support and supervision, detailed training by observing sessions of experienced counselors, and fostering a professional work environment. Additionally, by working with the Salvation Army programs, I was not only providing counseling for these vulnerable populations, but I was doing the work that I'm most passionate about. NFCC encompasses the ideal learning space with astounding individuals for practicum student becoming a professional counselor. I would like to thank Audrey, who supervised me this last year as a practicum student. Additionally, Mary Elizabeth and NFCC staff for selecting me to accept this award for all practicum students. Thank you again, and I can't wait to share this award with the group.
Hey everyone, Stuart Ford and Randy Helms here. You may or may not recognize us, but we've been the auctioneers for the past few Nick Finnegan Counseling Center Tree of Life galas. These auctions have raised an astounding $235,000 for the center, and hopefully this year's event will be no exception. The funds raised here tonight will allow NFCC to continue their great work and services they provide in the way of much needed counseling services in Houston and our surrounding communities. Randy, don't know about you, but I believe we could all use some counseling during these tough times.
Stuart and I sure wish everyone could attend this year's gala in person. But due to the coronavirus pandemic, we understand the decision to make this year's event a virtual online event. It's going to feel a bit odd not being on stage with you, Stuart, but we completely understand the reason why. In lieu of that, Stuart and I wanted to take time out of our self-quarantining to have a brief conversation on what NFCC means to us and fill you all in on what NFCC has been doing since the last gala.
Randy, it took me a few times to get used to Zoom, but I figured it out. I'm on Zoom numerous times each week, whether it's a business meeting, Bible study, or just catching up with my mom. Zoom is amazing technology, but Randy, I didn't know this either, but in June, the center partially reopened, allowing a limited number of staff in their building each day. Studies show, and you and I know, that there's just no substitute for face-to-face interaction with people, especially with teachers and counselors. This is terrific news that the center is able to offer limited in-person counseling. The majority of counseling sessions are still performed via Zoom technology, but they do have 1 or 2 counselors who see clients on site every day during COVID.
I've read recent reports that the need for mental health counseling has grown exponentially during COVID-19. I myself feel at times I need counseling when my wife asks me to go for yet another long walk in 102-degree Houston heat. And I know for sure that my dog Bogey does too. You know, a dog and a husband can only take so many walks in a day.
I know that's right.
Research has shown that nearly half of the adults in the United States reported that their mental health has been negatively impacted due to worry and stress over the virus. It's amazing stuff. Experts expect its psychological impact to be greater than Hurricane Harvey and the 2008 recession combined because of the resulting job loss, isolation, and unpredictability. I didn't think anything could be worse. What Houston experienced during Harvey, and Ike for that matter, not only has COVID brought up new mental health issues, but many pre-existing mental health issues as well, such as grieving the death of a loved one, anxiety, depression, and domestic spouse and child abuse.
Randy, I was just thinking, with the rise in unemployment during COVID, if people find themselves in a need for counseling, the cost of counseling is probably a big concern. I was talking with Mary Elizabeth Hand before we taped this segment, and she reminded me to mention the fact that NFCC offers a sliding scale payment option for clients.
Sliding scale, what's that?
Well, NFCC offers clients 3 payment options. First of all, they offer low private payment rates. Second, they work with various insurance companies to have them help pay for the sessions. And third, they offer a reduced hourly counseling rate for clients who can't afford their session. NFCC will never turn anyone away due to their financial situation.
Because of the increased need in mental health services, NFCC is averaging 4 new client calls a day, and June was their biggest month in their history. The center provided 785 counseling sessions that month. I can only imagine until this COVID crisis wanes, the number will only get bigger.
Even though they are doing most of their counseling sessions via Zoom, NFCC's expenses are increasing because they still have to pay their counselors, and they have the added cost of about $5,000 per year for their Zoom contract. Randy, I know that we're not in front of a packed house at River Oaks Country Club, but I can't help but think that someone watching us is going to take care of that Zoom contract expense. I think we've talked long enough, Randy, because the people attending tonight's event already know about the terrific work of NFCC and believe in its mission.
Stuart, I agree with that. Before we go, though, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that there will be an auction tonight, albeit a virtual, online one, and bids will be taken until midnight tonight. As always, the proceeds from the auction go towards funding the services the center provides to the Houston community that Stuart and I have been talking about. This year's auction offers well-rounded items with fun trips that will not require you to get on a plane and share the COVID with all those on board, and they will allow you to do your early Christmas shopping, so bid high and bid often. In closing, both of us would like to recognize the great work and sacrifice of time and energy that this year's chairs, Mary Margaret and J. Podge Greer and Amy and Todd Greenwood, have given to hopefully making this event one for the ages. Thanks for all of you in attendance, and God bless each of you. Have a great evening of online, virtual, clean fun.
Hello everyone, my name is Becky Helms. I am Randy Helms' daughter. Some of you may recognize me from helping out with the auction last year. And I'm so happy that the girls at NFCC asked me to come back and post this video for you. So you may be asking, why am I filming from my car? Well, I am a nurse down in the medical center. I work in a surgical and liver ICU, and my days can be very challenging, mentally and physically. So I like to decompress in my car before I leave. And the way I decompress is talking to my followers on my social media. I have quite a few followers, and some of them, actually a good majority of them, are all nurses. And it's been really fun to connect with them during this COVID time about the stressors of our job and everything. So this is the place that I do my best thinking, and when they asked me to help out, I thought this would be the best place to record. The fact that over half of the adults in the United States have opened up about how COVID-19 has negatively impacted their mental health right now is astonishing. Yet people still are embarrassed to talk about it. So my goal through this video, through my social media, is to break the stigma, is to encourage you to talk to your friends and family, your loved ones, your children especially, about this stuff right now, and how it's okay to be sad and how it's healthy to talk about it. My favorite form of therapy is laughter. That is what I hope to spread through my social media account. Laughter spreads endorphins. It stimulates your heart, your lungs, your muscles. It really does decrease your stress hormone levels, which is really good for the mind, body, and soul. So go find something that makes you smile, that makes you laugh, because we all could use a little break right now. So just a quick reminder about the auction, go check it out. The money that we raise from that is a big way that we can keep these free counseling sessions going. And with the unemployment rate in the world right now, it's really important that people can still get the mental health care that they need. So please go take a look at the auction, donate, and spread the word, because NFCC is doing some great things.